So, today's the day I post a video. We're gonna be talking about the video in the thumbnail, this video made by the military show. But first, I don't think anyone knows who I am. I last uploaded on this channel 11 months ago. So, if you're watching this, you either click for the thumbnail or you found me through clicking my profile picture. I'm not exactly an expert in the sense that I didn't go to college to study war. However, I have seen every argument used in this video before. I'm someone who understands all the bias surrounding this topic. So I try to watch different sources. I watch Covert Cabal. I watch Patrick Lancaster, who says to do this. I watch sources ranging from neutral to biased, and holy heavens is military show biased. So this is the channel that posted this viral video, and I quickly noticed that I just couldn't find it on their video page. And this is because since then, they have dropped another 5 bomb videos. I want you to take a look at these thumbnails. You know what this reminds me of? I feel bad about showing that video. But anyway, they summarized their own video in the last 35 seconds. They say, next time you hear someone say Russia is winning, go back to 2022. They took 20% of Ukraine after 3 years. They're losing equipment and they've suffered 20% of Ukraine lost. Now, if you've come from sources like these and you haven't ever seen one of them criticized before, it's gonna take a year to change your opinion. But you could start by, instead of watching this content farm, you could watch someone who actually uncovers Russia's losses. Now, sorry for the drawn out intro, let's actually make some counter arguments. They start out the video by saying that they're gonna dismantle the myth that Russia's winning the war. They talk about a lot of the factors that you see on screen here, and they're also talking about how Russia's gonna collapse. Their first argument they sourced from the Institute of Study of War, I'll put the quote here, and they follow this up with saying that that's only 0.6% of Ukraine, it's one Rhode Island. They pointed to Forbes, who said that Russia had captured 68 square miles in April. And they said, I quote, if Ukraine maintains the same level of defenses or Russia doesn't step up the offensive, it will take 230 years and 100 million more casualties to fully capture Ukraine. Now, this is not all they said. I don't want you guys to think that I'm taking these quotes out of context. What they said after this is that they only have 144 million population, it isn't a strategy, and generations will have to invest into this, bringing other severe issues. That is one whole minute of stuff. So I'm gonna start out with something that I think no matter where you're coming from, you should hear. There are no winners in war. The damn Dnipros say that they're killing 5-1 Russians in Bakhmut, and the darn Rostovs are saying that Ukraine is suffering 10-1 the casualties. Like, this war is the pool game that I'm playing in the background. If you average it out, the people dying on both sides is a lot closer than anyone says. I personally think that for Russia, it's 15% more to 3 times less. And while Russia prevails, they haven't won the minds of the Ukrainian people. They aren't triumphant. Meanwhile, Ukraine has been absolutely brutalized by this war. And I agree that winning is generous. But then, well, William Spaniel. What about him? Is he gonna say the same thing? Well, the military show said that 68 square miles per month would take 230 more years, which, if you go by 68 square miles a month, yeah, the calculations are correct. But 300 square kilometers or 115 miles is the average of what Russia has taken in 2025 so far. They're saying it's just gonna be a linear algebraic graph. Which at this point, I had found out the title that this video was gonna have. They are completely disregarding actual war. No month is the territory captured the same. I think it overlooks them that real people go to these front lines to walk forward and make these territorial gains. And that nothing is going to be surviving after even 100 years of war. Imagine if some bloke just went up to Ukrainian HQ and was like, let's fight this war for another 230 years. And like, what the hell? No, the amount of resources being spent will end the war way sooner. And I could explain more, but I think this could be a whole video on its own. So their second argument is that it isn't all just territory. Russia's also having a manpower cost. Yeah, they've already explained it. Oh wait, they also talk about how these are working age people and they won't contribute to the economy. Let me just say this myself. 1 million people left when Russia did a mobilization, and like 500,000 casualties. Some are dead, some are wounded. Yes, Russia would have been better off in the short term had they not done this war. And that is something so many Z's don't want to admit. Yeah, your favorite country loses things in a war too. And then the military show talks about the start of the war, the 3 days invasion. Now, I will argue that they actually expected Ukraine to fall in 2 weeks, not 3 days. It's that all their logistics ran out on day 3 and people just assumed, oh, well, they planned for 3 days. One, even if you think it's going to take 3 days, you don't want to have exactly that amount. You want to have more than that. Did every single Russian tank run out of fuel at exactly 3 days? Probably not. Now, depending where you come from, you might have a different take on this. But either way you put it, it was foolish to think that Ukraine would not fight. So I'm going to play a small clip for you.
Soon enough, Ukraine took back most of the territory it had lost to the initial invasion. Most of the territory...
Alright, why doesn't your map show that? Those are some funny looking taken back territories. Alright, that's nitpicking. I feel like the targeted audience for this video was people who didn't know anything about the war. They just did a summary of what happened at the start of the war. Russia sanctioned, ruble fell half, economy made of gasoline, half of the war chest frozen, Russian bloggers celebrating the capture of one village. Like, I'm not gonna explain it, just go watch some videos for yourself. It's definitely bad, I'm not trying to ignore that this is happening. But like, I don't want to insult the intelligence of my viewers. So the third argument is that Russia's military spending is too much for their economy. They pointed to Medusa, who said that in 2024, Russia had spent 40% of its government budget, or 166 billion, on its military. They said it was unsustainable, which, yes, it probably is. But that's kind of how wars work. The same news outlets that say this look for new headlines to attract new viewers and have said that Russia switched to a war economy after Ukraine started fighting back, and that Ukraine had neglected to do this until 2024, leading Russia to catch up a lot. Yep, two different sides of the same story. This is why you should look at multiple sources. And then they said, oh, Russia could launch nuclear weapons, but it's bad, so they shouldn't do it. As of recording this very line, I will get out of school in 2 days, and I will start summer vacation. That would not happen if there was... Anyway, that was one of 3 ways they said the war could end. There are 2 more ways they talked about, but the thing is, it's kind of obvious, and I'd like to leave it up to you guys to think how could the war end. But they summarize this section by saying Russia can't win, it can't lose, they can't negotiate a peaceful end to the war, it's a catch-22. And then they talked about for 3 minutes about how NATO turned against them when Russia invaded Ukraine, 2 new members joined. And this was because Russia didn't prepare enough for the initial invasion to knock Ukraine out and prevent a Western response. So something that you need to understand is that I simply don't want to engage with all the arguments made in this video. A lot of these are just Ukrainian talking points. I've seen these arguments before from commenters. I've replied to a lot of these commenters who repeat these talking points and they don't elaborate, so like, why should I even bother? But they again said that, oh, Russia was supposed to be the second most powerful military, but that wasn't true. Their equipment was filled with egg yolks. Egg yolks! red sand. Now they sourced a few more things in the last 3 minutes of the video, and I will be looking at them specifically and kind of out of context from the video. I'm getting a bit tired at this point. So the final argument that they made is the war is definitely causing instability and Russia could collapse because of this. And they got Gleb Pavlovsky, who fled Russia in 2022, or exiled as they say. And he said this: "We underestimated the extent of the decay of the Russian government." So whenever you tell me what you mean by decay, I'll get back to you, but as of now, as they wrap up the video, they say that Russia was supposed to focus on home defense, not invading others, and that the invasion of Ukraine can threaten to oust Putin from power, and that he won't have a successor, so Russia could collapse and it'll break up like Yugoslavia. You know, at this point, I'm just repeating what they're saying. So in conclusion, they said, show this to people who think Russia is still winning. This video did not change my mind because I think they're only winning on the battlefield, which I will talk about in other videos, like down to the towns, Toretsk, Pokrovsk, Novopavlivka, and Liman. I'm really bad with names. But what do I have to say to this video? Half of these arguments were back from 2022. Everyone keeps talking about the Russian military like it's back then. No, they've moved on now in 2025. Now, this video did skip out on a few details. It was very brief. And if you think that I did something wrong, I want you to actually criticize me in the comments. I want to hear what other people think because I'm actually interested in learning about this. I don't want to be in an echo chamber myself. And it was so brief that I forgot to give some of my most powerful points. So all this stuff saying that Russia's gonna collapse, it can happen to Ukraine too. And actually, Ukraine is spending 35% of its GDP on the military, and Russia is only spending 13%. Now, those are just the numbers off the top of my head. I haven't remembered the exact details. But as always, war is awful, and keep an open mind.